The court's atmosphere was charged with anticipation and unease as the entrance of a woman with a haunting demeanor disrupted the silence. The tension reached its climax when she took out the concealed weapon she had clutched tightly in her overcoat. In one swift motion, she revealed the hidden firearm and unleashed a barrage of gunfire on the man who stood in front of her. With each shot that echoed through the silent courtroom, the men behind her who were caught off guard stood and rushed to restrain the woman to stop her from shooting any more shots. As you can see in the video, the woman showed no signs of emotion, and neither did she attempt to resist the firm hold of the men. With her haunting expressions of sadness and unmoved body language, as if she would fall on the ground if the men didn't hold her. The woman had her eyes fixed on the man she had just silenced. This is the story of Marianne Bachmeier, a woman who took justice into her own hands. The journey of Marianne Bachmeier's pain and determination to avenge her daughter's murder came to an end when she decided to become the judge, jury, and executioner of her daughter's case. Although a dramatized clip, this is exactly what had happened in the courtroom when Klaus Grabowski, the rapist and murderer of her daughter, stood on trial. On June 30th, 1950, Marianne Bachmeier was born in Germany. Raised in Jarstedt, a peaceful town near Hildesheim in Lower Saxony, West Germany. Her childhood was shaped by the aftermath of World War II, as her family sought refuge from East Prussia's turmoil. Marianne Bachmeier's father served as the military arm of the Nazi Party's parliamentary Schutzstaffel organization, Waffen-SS. Trauma and emotional strain became part of Marianne's childhood, as her father became a harsh drunk authority after his retirement. Her relationship with her mother wasn't great either, since her parents separated and the mother married someone else. At just the age of 16 years old, Marianne found herself pregnant with her first child, whom she had to give up for adoption in infancy because her stepfather had thrown her out and she had no support. 2 days later, she got herself impregnated for the second time by her then boyfriend, but shortly before she was about to give birth, Marianne Bachmeier went through a harrowing tragedy that no person in the world ever deserves to go through. A pregnant Marianne was brutally raped. Her anticipation of pregnancy was replaced with lifelong mental scars and hatred for sexual abusers who deserve nothing but the worst of all worlds. Sadly, her second child was also put up for adoption soon after being born. In 1972, Bachmeier started to date her work manager at the Tipasa pub. At the age of 22, Marianne Bachmeier once again got herself pregnant. But this would be her last pregnancy, as Marianne got tubal ligation after that. With the arrival of her daughter on the 14th of November 1972, Marianne Bachmeier was graced with a ray of hope during her difficult life challenges. But at that time, she had no idea about what harrowing events the year 1981 had in store for her. When Anna was born, Marianne Bachmeier had no one to take care of her daughter. So while raising her as a single mother, she used to bring Anna to the pub every day. It was revealed in the documentary films made on her story that as Marianne used to work till late at night at the pub, her 7-year-old daughter had no one but herself to keep her company. Sadly, Anna often slept in the bar while her mother partied. Aware of her problematic parenting style, Marianne wanted to put Anna up for adoption too. It was revealed by her friends that Marianne expected Anna to act like an adult and manage her responsibilities on her own. According to the friend, the jolly-natured Anna never got a nurturing family environment. It was March 5th, 1980, when the tragic fate was meant to be unfolded. As the sun rose for the unfortunate day in Marianne's hometown of Lübeck, West Germany, Anna decided to skip school in response to the argument she had with her mother in the morning that day. Showing a rebellious side, little Anna decided to go play with the cats at a neighbor's house instead of attending classes at school. Little did she know that the neighbor, Klaus Grabowski, was not a guy to be trusted with children. The 35-year-old butcher had a troubled past, stained by a criminal record for child abuse. As pure as Anna's intentions were, she had unknowingly stepped into the lair of a sexual predator. But this was not the first time Anna was visiting his house to play with the cats. With a haunting history of perpetrating unspeakable acts, Klaus Grabowski had once faced the consequences of his monstrosity when he was sentenced for the sexual abuse of 2 minor girls. One can get an idea of just how much danger he posed to those around him by considering the extremes he went to. In a desperate bid to get released from a psychiatric hospital, the sex offender had voluntarily asked for chemical castration in 1976. In a disgusting turn of events, Klaus Grabowski was later given approval by the judiciary for hormone treatment to get him back his libido. Unexpected interaction with Anna had clouded Grabowski's mind with darkness. The prospect of another victim had awakened his sinister desires, teasing him to seize the chance presented before him. As his sinister intentions grew stronger, Klaus Grabowski decided not to let go of Anna. As the day passed by and several hours had gone, Anna was still a captive at his house, where she became the victim of unspeakable acts of sexual assault. Without showing an ounce of remorse, Klaus Grabowski then went ahead to silence her cries by strangling her to death with a pair of his fiancée's tights. One can only get goosebumps thinking about how strong he was for the helpless Anna, that all it took him was a piece of elastic cloth to end the child's life. As the lifeless Anna lay in his house, Klaus Grabowski tied her up and concealed her in a cupboard box to discard her dead body as if she were a mere useless object. Before anyone could do anything, little Anna's fate was sealed within the confines of a box to be abandoned on the shore of a nearby canal. All the while, Marianne Bachmeier had no idea what Klaus Grabowski had done to her daughter. With each passing minute, her worry intensified, a knot tightening in her stomach with every glance at the clock. Earlier that morning, when she had an argument with Anna, she didn't know that it was the last time she would see her daughter well and alive. Her once happy, open-minded child was no longer alive. Klaus Grabowski was arrested on the very same day. It was his fiancée who reported him to the police, not keeping anything secret. Grabowski had told everything he had done to his fiancée. When she exited the apartment to call the police, Klaus Grabowski left a note and took Anna's dead body in the box to bury it in a shallow grave near a canal. In the note, Klaus begged his fiancée not to leave him and that he'd be waiting for her at a local club to explain everything. Following the fiancé's report, the authorities were quick to arrive, although they had to wait for Klaus at the bar to take him into custody. Although Grabowski admitted to the murder, he adamantly denied any allegations of abuse against Anna. What he did instead was provide a disturbing account of the incident. According to Klaus Grabowski, he was compelled to strangle Anna after she allegedly attempted to blackmail him. Blackmail? A 7-year-old? Klaus Grabowski was definitely lying to get away from meeting his eventual and deserved end. In his version of events, Anna made seductive advances towards him and threatened to falsely accuse him of molestation if he did not comply with her monetary demands. Fearing a return to prison, Klaus Grabowski confessed to killing her. He also used his hormonal imbalance as part of his defense, after being reported to the authorities by his fiancée. This outrageous claim consumed Marianne Bachmeier with fury. She had to wait for a year to execute the revenge she had planned. When the police reached the site where he had buried the body, they found little Anna all tied up and placed carefully inside the box. The police found Marianne's reaction quite strange to her daughter's death, refusing to speak to the officers. Marianne Bachmeier didn't even agree to go to the morgue for identification of Anna's body. The police had never encountered such a reaction before and were unsure how to handle the situation. Surely, the devastating news had left Marianne with overwhelming feelings of guilt. She despised herself for even thinking about giving Anna up for adoption or for her friend's care. The regret of the last interaction she had with Anna was to haunt her for her entire life. Marianne Bachmeier's funeral arrangements for her daughter were anything but traditional or religious. She had arranged for a Pink Floyd song to be blasted on volume in the church. Well, people do have different and quite unique ways of dealing with grief. Marianne Bachmeier, who wasn't new to facing hardships in life, just couldn't come to terms with the fact that her daughter was no more. The pain of losing her daughter was unimaginable, and the months before Grabowski's trial felt like an eternity to her. This wasn't a wound that could easily heal or be brushed aside. At times, her grief even led to public outbursts, while other moments made her isolate herself in the apartment. The trial of Klaus Grabowski in March of 1981 marked a pivotal moment as it decided the fate of Klaus at the hands of Marianne Bachmeier. As the trial commenced at the district court in Lübeck, the opening statements about Anna Bachmeier's life painted a picture of a child who spent much of her time on the streets. With Marianne working late nights as a waitress and sleeping during the day, Anna's attendance at school was irregular as she liked to spend time interacting with her neighbors on the streets. It was during this period that she crossed paths with Klaus Grabowski, who, despite denying allegations of sexual abuse, had killed Anna. Marianne Bachmeier made sure to sit in the front row of the courtroom to not lose sight of the monster who robbed her of her daughter. There were a few moments when Marianne could not contain her emotions, openly confronting him by shouting, "Say something, you pig." Despite the tragedy Marianne went through, some people who witnessed her behavior believe that she did it to fuel drama in the courtroom, even if she was seeking attention as people thought. Marianne Bachmeier had every right as the grieving mother to confront the accused. As expected, the courtroom testimony was distressing to her. When Klaus Grabowski started to recount Anna's final moments and the manner of her death in chilling detail. He recalled that Anna was seated on a chair when he approached her from behind. In his words, "I heard something come out of her nose. I was fixated. Then I could not stand the sight of her body any longer." After hearing such words, one would understand why Marianne Bachmeier decided to take matters into her own hands. When day 2 of the trial arrived, Dr. Volker vom Ende, who had treated Klaus Grabowski for reversal of castration prior to Anna's death, was summoned to provide testimony. It was revealed that the doctor had failed to check Grabowski's criminal history, leading to a lawsuit against him by Anna's parents for negligence. But it was unsuccessful due to a lack of expert witness testimony. Klaus Grabowski's attorneys were adamant that he acted that way because of the hormonal therapy. Later that day, a conversation between the presiding Judge Hopp and Grabowski's defense attorney was misheard by Marianne Bachmeier. Having suffered abuse herself, Marianne was outraged by Grabowski's upcoming testimony, where she knew he was going to vilify the victim. This was enough to add fuel to what was about to unfold on day 3 of the trial. With a cold and rainy morning greeting the attendees in Lübeck, March 6, 1981, marked the 3rd day of Klaus Grabowski's trial and the last day of his life on Earth. The courtroom doors were opened for the public 5 minutes before the session. Klaus Grabowski was escorted inside through a side door and directed to his seat in the dock, facing away from the entrance as he took his place. Noticing the small number of people in court, Marianne Bachmeier entered the room and headed toward where Klaus Grabowski was seated. With a mere couple of yards between them, she pulled out a .22 caliber Beretta, aimed the gun at Klaus Grabowski's back, and pulled the trigger. Before people could assess the situation, 8 shots had rang out, of which 7 were found on her daughter's murderer. With no chance of survival, Klaus Grabowski fell forward onto the desk before eventually collapsing onto the courtroom floor. The doctor was too late to arrive as Grabowski succumbed to his fatal injuries. After throwing the firearm aside, Marianne Bachmeier surrendered herself to a court officer without any resistance. It was reported by the witness that after killing Klaus Grabowski, Marianne said that she wanted to shoot him in the face, but unfortunately hit him in the back. Her statement, "I hope he's dead," proves that killing Klaus was her intention from the get-go, if there was any doubt. Anna's father and Marianne's ex-boyfriend, Christian Berthel, who witnessed the incident, was seen muttering, "She did it. She actually did it." 2 policemen who attested to hearing Marianne Bachmeier referred to Klaus Grabowski as a pig after she fired at him. Becoming one of the most popular stories of vigilante justice, the incident sparked significant reactions from both the media and the public. The majority of people, especially parents, empathized with her, acknowledging that they would have done the same in her position. Some of them believed that shooting alone did not inflict sufficient suffering, and that they would have gone further to prolong Klaus's pain. Soon enough, Marianne Bachmeier found herself on trial for the killing of Klaus Grabowski. Marianne testified that she dreamt of shooting Grabowski as she saw visions of her daughter in the courtroom. When Marianne was asked for a handwriting sample by the evaluation doctor, she wrote, "I did it for you, Anna." She also drew 7 hearts for each year of her daughter's life. By morning, Marianne Bachmeier's name had spread across the nation, earning her the name Revenge Mother. Newspapers and magazines printed front-page headlines with the 32-year-old's attractive pictures while strangers sent her flowers, accompanied by heartfelt notes to admire her courage. The people of Germany stood by her, as within a week of the incident, donations totaling 100,000 marks, the previous currency of Germany, were made to help her cover the legal expenses. The huge uproar and support of the people for Marianne Bachmeier was also because of the leniency West German courts showed to people like Klaus Grabowski. The people rightfully blamed the court's permission for hormone therapy as the reason for Anna Bachmeier's death. Despite the justice Marianne Bachmeier got, Klaus Grabowski died as an innocent man in the eyes of the law, as he was yet to be proven guilty in the trial. As the details of Marianne Bachmeier's strange behavior over Anna's death and her past emerged during her trial, public opinion became divided. The prosecution had a tough decision to make. Granting her pardon was not an option, as vigilantism going unpunished would have set a dangerous precedent. Yet there was considerable public pressure to show leniency towards Marianne Bachmeier. A legal question also lingered in the air, whether it was manslaughter or premeditated murder. Marianne Bachmeier was initially released following her arrest, but was again taken into custody due to concerns that she might flee. While awaiting trial for about 15 months, Marianne made 5 suicide attempts, prompting medical professionals and psychologists to advocate for her release. The biggest question the court had to resolve was whether Marianne Bachmeier had planned the murder or not. Declining to comply with the court-appointed psychologists, Marianne Bachmeier was then subjected to harsh methods to make her speak. Based on the witnesses at Tipasa Bar where Marianne worked, the investigators were sure she had bought a gun to practice shooting targets at the bar. Another plot twist came into play when Marianne Bachmeier confessed to purchasing the Beretta from an individual in Tipasa and hiding it at Anna's gravesite. She said she kept the gun for self-protection and not with the intent of killing Klaus Grabowski. After a lot of legal proceedings and investigations, Marianne Bachmeier was charged with murder on the 2nd of November 1982. The prosecution then decided to drop her charges of murder, which led the Circuit Court Chamber of the District Court of Lübeck to change the decision. On the 2nd of March 1983, Marianne Bachmeier was convicted for manslaughter and illegal possession of a firearm. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison but was released after 3 years. Marianne Bachmeier had plans to leave Germany when she married a teacher in 1985. About 3 years later, the couple resided in a German camp in Nigeria, where her husband taught at a school. The couple dissolved their marriage in 1990, and Marianne moved to Sicily, where she worked as an aide in a hospice located in Palermo. It was during her time in Sicily that she received the devastating news of pancreatic cancer, which prompted her to return to Germany. The years of 1994 to 1995 saw Marianne Bachmeier active in media, giving interviews at radio stations and television talk shows. Marianne Bachmeier asked a reporter at Norddeutscher Rundfunk to film the last moments of her life. On the 17th of September 1996, pancreatic cancer took away Marianne Bachmeier's life at just the age of 46. She now rests in eternal peace at Burgtor Cemetery in Lübeck, beside her daughter. According to some people, Marianne Bachmeier was somehow responsible for her 7-year-old daughter's fate, pointing out her unconventional job as a pub hostess and her considerations of putting Anna in the care of a doctor friend. Marianne Bachmeier was considered a bad parent in some eyes, but what they failed to understand is the limitations Marianne Bachmeier had in her unstable life. Despite her shortcomings, Marianne Bachmeier was a good parent as she was ready to make difficult choices, like adoption, for the sake of her daughter's best interests. For our defense, we have got the recent case of a mother who left her 16-month-old daughter alone at home for 10 days to go on a vacation. While Marianne Bachmeier's actions, albeit extreme, were fueled by a deep love for her daughter, the actions of the vacationing mother that led to the death of her toddler were nothing but diabolical. So, do you believe Marianne's actions were justified considering the circumstances? And did a mother deserve to serve time in prison for avenging the murder of her daughter? Share your thoughts in the comments below until we uncover another compelling true crime story.